Hey everybody, this is Eric Brady with Seattle Sound Home Inspections. Just working on a little plumbing project here at one of our rental properties, and I thought I'd share this with you. We see this all the time in home inspections, and it's not necessarily a fault in the sense that it's leaking, but it's not necessarily done properly. All of these joints under your sink, whether it be a kitchen sink or a bathroom sink, bar sink, whatever, they are prone to leaking. They can be not leaking during your home inspection. You can move in, put stuff in the cabinet, bump one of these, and then it can start leaking. Or in the case of a vacant home, it may not be leaking when you're there. I run water, don't see a leak. And then you start using it consistently over a few days and you start seeing some leaking. So these are compression fittings, and we like to make sure that they use compression in order to keep them from leaking. But then people use this Teflon tape. This is appropriate use of Teflon tape here. If you go further into the drain, follow this back up, you can see that there's Teflon tape here. It's not leaking, so it's not a fault, but this is a compression fitting. So the Teflon tape in this case is actually gumming up the threads and creating a less than optimal seal. So we see this on shower heads all the time. That Teflon tape really shouldn't be there with most threads. We see it on supply lines here. This one's in fact leaking a little bit. You can see that white tape if you look carefully. Sometimes you can't see it even though it's there, and that causes a leak. The reason for that is the way that type of fitting works is there's a rubber seal in there, and then the pressure of the threads compresses that seal, hence the name compression fitting, and that causes it to not leak. In the case of these fittings here, it's a simple plastic ring that is getting compressed, and that's all that's sealing out the water. Remember, on your waistlines, this should not be a pressure system, so the type of fittings we use to keep it from leaking are not nearly as robust as on the water supply side. So this is the tailpipe. Essentially, it goes here. I'm doing the other bowl side here. I just got this set here to show you. This plastic goes in between, and then this threaded nut goes up, compresses on the threads, and then you don't have a leak. So if you find a leak under your sink, this is something usually just tightening. These will work. Occasionally, there'll be so much gunk in there from the leak that it needs to be taken out and cleaned and then retightened. And occasionally the joint itself and the fittings around it need to be replaced in order to stop the leak. So at the very least, you can hand tighten these back down to see if the leak stops. Keep them monitored. I keep this bucket on hand so I can throw it underneath a P-trap. This is called a P-trap. And just catch any leaks while I'm kind of monkeying with it, tightening it down, and see if I can stop it from continuing to leak. Other things we got going on here, we're just taking out this disposal. We don't like having disposals in rental properties. Obviously, I'm going to properly terminate that electrical connection. The power is off right now, so we'll terminate it back to that box down there, put a nice new P-trap in, and this will all be good to go. You can see that leak there, so I'm going to have to chase down where that's coming from. I believe they put a new faucet on, and they probably just didn't get it tight enough. It's hard to get that tight enough if you put it on up under there. What I actually like to do, and if they use Teflon tape. So I'll check for Teflon tape. What I like to do is I like to put that through there, tighten it all down, and then make the connections down here, because these are easier to get at. And if you got more play on the line, it's a little easier to get them tightened up. So that's it. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to help. Thanks. Bye.